Welcome to SoMo Garage, bringing you the latest racing news, sim racing talk, driver chat, and highlights from the SoMo Racing Leagues with SoMo Racing League drivers. Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Get ready for 1 hour of kicking the tires in the SoMo Garage with your hosts, Aaron Reilly and Paul Zotta. SoMo Garage starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to SoMo Garage. I'm Aaron Reilly, along with Joe Mitchell and Paul Zotta. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. Crazy day here, but definitely winding down. Summer's coming, you know what I mean? And kids are going to be home, so it's going to get crazier.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. What do you do all summer with them? Just kind of chill out at the house?
Try to keep them busy, get them out early because it gets hot down here. So we try to get out early in the morning, do whatever we're going to, do outside, come home for a little bit, cool off, eat, and then try to do some water activities for the afternoon, man. When it gets 99 degrees and like 199,000 humidity.
Yep, just like being on Mars.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we had a pretty good week at SoMo this week. We got through the All-Star race, which I mean, all in all went pretty well. Not too many cautions, and we made it through the Indy 500, which we ran Wednesday night, and that went pretty well too. Little rough around the edges, but all in all, it was a pretty good race. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, the Indy, I wouldn't say it was a disappointment. It was definitely a good race. It was a long race too, but it's that car. If you haven't drove that car, I mean, that car is just a real hard to handle car. They're very twitchy. All the moves in that car are fast. So, you come up on somebody, and if you don't pay attention to it, you could easily run somebody over and what. So, we had some cautions. We had a couple of guys taken out early on, and a lot of cars out towards the end of the race. But that's only the first time that SoMo tried that 500, and I think we only did one practice race and one warm up server the week prior or something like that. So I think next season, obviously it was a hit. I think a lot of guys want to do it again next year. So we'll just practice a little bit better for it, and maybe have a setup made that's a little bit more stable. But man, it was definitely something doing 500 miles.
Yeah, that race, I didn't even get to run probably, I don't know, 25% of it. And I was out pretty early. I got to give Paul a taste of what it was like to have a real life spotter, I guess, in a sense. Towards the end of the race, he was he was still running. He didn't really have any damage or anything, and he was just in a bad spot. He was a couple laps down, so I was just trying to help him out, trying to get some laps back, playing some different strategies, and kept him around till the end. So I guess can't complain about that. He got a top 5 out of it.
Yeah, Aaron, that was so cool. Joe stuck around. Obviously he was going to stick around to admin anyway, but he started talking to me, and I early on the first lap, I can't believe it, and I still haven't even gone back to look at it, because we got family here now visiting for graduation and all. But I wanted to go back and look. I got caught up with John Estes, and I don't know what happened. I know I ended up getting into the back of him and spinning him, and kind of I brought out that first caution and kind of ruined his night, I guess. I really didn't get any, much damage from it, but I don't know what happened. So I didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. We just kind of, rode out the race. But I got caught up 2 laps down, and I was 2 laps down forever. And then finally, Joe was talking to me, and he was trying to give me when the leaders were coming in so I could stay out and get a wave around. I was kind of on a different pitch strategy. And man, I'll tell you what, it was so nice to have a live spotter that could give you that information, because I could not tell from where I was if the leader stayed out or not. And, I didn't want to stay out if it wasn't going to gain anything for me. I just, take my 2 laps, go in, tires and fuel. But man, I'll tell you what, I would love to hook up with somebody and have a live spotter for all the races, man. What a difference in your race.
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, I know we've interviewed a couple guys in the past that have live spotters, and they love it. So it's pretty cool to hear another good story about that, and you know, yeah, hopefully someday. It's hard to just kind of find somebody who's just willing to be there whenever you need them, but you know, um, it is kind of cool when that works out for sure. Um, I did leave early. I got wrecked out pretty early, and I did leave, but I did watch the majority of the race afterwards. But how long did it take to complete it from start to finish?
I don't know. Do you know, Joe?
I think it went green at about 8:30, and we finished up right around 12, so 2.5 hours, I believe.
Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. Um, I'm kind of wondering when we get to the 600, how long of a race that's going to be.
Oh,
I mean, you're talking about an extra 100 miles with cars that go a lot slower. So,
and that's
yeah.
400 laps for that race because I just set up the server for. I just set it up on the web page. I'm going to set up the server for it. I was trying to estimate about. I was reading up on what it usually takes for NASCAR to run it, and I'm estimating probably about the same, man. But that's we're gonna do that one a little bit earlier. We're gonna do that like we did the Indy 500. Open up at 7:30, qualify at 8:25, start the race at 8:30, as opposed to I think 9 o'clock that we usually start. It's still gonna be late and it's still gonna be a long race, but I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, I think the big difference really is like with cautions. Um, I mean, Indy, it's just a huge track, and caution laps take forever. And we had a few in the beginning, and it just really the first half of the race seemed to drag on for quite a while, and then we started to get some green flag runs in, and it started to pass a lot quicker. Um, I I would say that with the Coca-Cola 600 being longer, um, cautions aren't really that bad. Um, there's going to be points where guys are just begging for tires, so I'm sure it's not going to be terrible.
Yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know we got to complete the All Star race, which kind of gave us an idea what the cars were going to act like and the track was going to be like, and 'cause it'll be pretty much the same conditions going into the 600. Um, what did you guys think of? Well, I guess Paul, you didn't race, but what do you guys think of the setup? Does it feel pretty good to you?
For Charlotte,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, the setup, I mean, you really got to drive the car. I mean, for the first few laps, everything's pretty even, and then guys start to get their tires heated up, and you start searching around for grip. It seemed like the car got kind of tight in the middle part of a run, but overall, I think the car felt pretty good. You were able to make some moves. I know I experimented in that race. I was running up by the wall, and I was making pretty good time up there. So I'm looking forward to it, and just trying to pace myself for next week and try to make it to the end.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed because I broadcast it, and that's what's being shown right now on the replay, qualifying for it. Um, it was a shorter race. This one's going to be 400 laps, so there's going to be a lot of changes on track. If it stays green, or we do get some, decent green flag runs in between and some green flag pit stops, it's really going to change things up out there. I mean, you're going to have guys on newer tires, guys on older tires. You're going to have guys high, low, in the middle, everywhere searching for that grip. I was, hearing guys say, like Joe said, in the beginning it was kind of even, but then once The rubber started going down and the tires started warming up. People were all over the track, man. Some guys were doing good up in that high line, and then there were some guys that were down in the bottom. And I just can't imagine with 400 laps what the track is going to look like after it's done. And where you may start off on the bottom, and by the end of the race, you might be driving on the fence.
Yeah, that seems to be the the way it goes. In the normal race with NASCAR, it seems like you'll have guys running right up against the fence towards the end of the race. Kyle Larson, he'll be up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I can't wait to do that. That's definitely gonna be a lot of fun.
If you don't mind, I just want to talk about the All-Star for a second that we did. I don't want to jump too far ahead or anything, but I broadcast that race, and I didn't get to run it, which I wanted to, but I got to say, first of all, for you and Joe to put it together, have it run the way it was run, I think it went smooth. I think it went good. You guys kept it orderly, got everybody out. Everybody, had a fair shake. The couple little bumps in the road that you did run into, you guys took care of it. And, like when the timers didn't start and what, guys didn't cry when you let somebody get back out and rerun their time because it wasn't scored right. Just watching the guys come around and, one by one, speeding into the pits, trying to get their pit stall, their tires and get back out. I mean, that was so exciting to see, and it was so much fun to watch, man. Next year I will be in that race, because after watching you guys do it, man, I was like, man, I want to be in there and do that. That looked like so much fun. And this is the first, we've run 3 years of the All-Star, but we've never run that format, and you guys did a great job with it, first of all. And after talking to you guys afterwards and everything, we see the couple things we need to work on. By next season, we'll have this thing down. It's going to be such a fun, smooth race, man. I think the guys are really going to love it.
Yeah, well, thank you for one. I appreciate it. I had a blast. I couldn't have done it without Aaron being there. It was a lot. There was a lot going on behind the scenes. It did get a little overwhelming. The first few cars for qualifying, it went a little rough. We were trying to get into a rhythm, and it seemed like once we got it, qualifying went great. We were trying to just get it to where, guys were wrapping up theirs and get the next one rolling, and we were able to get it to that point later on in qualifying, probably the middle part. I had a couple issues trying to sort everything out in the race. That's where, just trying to fix a couple little things for the race. I think next year's would be awesome. Not that this year's wasn't. I had a blast.
Now, I mean, I know it's probably too soon to tell, but I mean, do you foresee any changes for the one next year, or do you think that you're just going to keep the format that you have now, Paul?
I think we're going to keep it the format that we have, and even if NASCAR changes their format, the only change I would see that we might do is if they add another segment, or if they increase the amount of laps that you run. But as far as the way it was ran, starting in the pit stall, going out, getting your time, coming in, getting 4 tires, running back out full speed to get that final run across the stripe and take your total time. That was very cool. That was really interesting. And a lot of guys even said, man, it was challenging, and they really enjoyed it, and it was funny to watch a lot of guys sliding through the box, just a little bit. And I even said on the broadcast, if it's something, you look at it and you think, oh yeah, look, they can't even stop in their pits. But if you've never tried coming down pit road full speed out of 4 and trying it yourself, you have to go and try it and see. It's a job to do, but it looks so much fun, man. And like I said, as long as NASCAR doesn't change anything major, we're not planning on changing it. Just maybe like race lengths for the segments.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, definitely looking forward to it next year. I think it's going to be an awesome race, and we'll refine it, make it a little better, and I think it'll be perfect for next year. But let's switch gears a little bit, guys. Let's talk about the big story in NASCAR. You know, other than the All Star race, has been Eric Almirola's crash at Kansas, and he fractured his T5 vertebrae, broken back. Um, what I didn't learn out of this story was that the initial impact is not how he broke his back. It was when the car went airborne and the rear springs came out of the car, and the car came down, and basically the frame slapped the ground, and that jolt is what did it. But and I actually found that out from reading a different story about it. But very interesting. It's another thing NASCAR is going to have to look at to mandate some kind of a safety change to keep that from happening again. But it's never ending, is it? It
Yeah.
always keeps on going. It's the unfortunate thing about somebody getting hurt, but it's also preventing somebody from getting hurt next time.
Right. And like because I heard the same thing, and I don't know if you saw the interview with Jeff Gordon and him talking about it. But like before the Hans device came in, before the safer barriers came in, guys had incidents with it, and they corrected it. So I'm guessing they're probably going to look for some kind of like impact resistant type of a seat mounting or something, where if something repeats like that again, maybe it can absorb some of that. But um, you know when you look at the crash on the replay, I mean, yeah, it was a bad crash, but it doesn't look like he, the way they slow it down and show it to you, it doesn't look like he hit all like it was that hard of a hit. But then when you see the speed that he was doing, you kind of put it in perspective. But after watching that interview with him and Jeff Gordon, man, it just makes you wonder, if I was him, I don't know if I would come back, man, because they were saying, the next one he could be paralyzed from the, belly button down. And, he was saying he's got, young kids, he's married now and all. And, I mean, it sucks to have to think about giving up something that you love, and in a career that you were starting to grow in, as opposed to maybe never walking again, man. I don't know. That's just that changed my whole view of it when I heard that interview with Jeff Gordon and him.
Yeah, I saw that interview too earlier today, and yeah, it didn't sound too confident that he really wanted to be back in a race car. It's I understand, I guess. Yeah, he's got family, 2 kids and a wife, like Paul said, and it's a huge risk, and I think that a lot of those guys don't realize it until they're in that situation. I mean, in the back of your mind that, yeah, you could get hurt, but until it actually happens to you, it puts a lot of stuff into perspective, I guess. But yeah, when he made initial contact, he said it felt like he got stabbed in the back, and then when he landed, after the car went up in the air, he said it felt like someone twisted the knife, and that's when he realized that he wasn't going to be able to get out of the car. And yeah, I think at the very least, like, NASCAR could put limiting straps on the suspension, I guess. It sounds stupid in a way, but even a strap to limit the trailing arms from falling out that far to let the spring come out. I don't think there's anything in the rear suspension to hold the spring in place when a car unloads like that.
Yeah, it was very violent, and the thing of it is, it was the highest recorded G ever, in that type of a wreck with that type of a car. So, again, they're seeing another maximum, another threshold happen that has never happened before. So, but I'm with Joe. I think they could do a lot that would help keep the springs in the car. And I mean, when the wreck happened, I mean, and the car went airborne like that, even Jeff Gordon was saying over the commentary, he's like, wow, look at that rear end, how it just like almost came out of the car and then came back, just kind of went back up again. And and of course I never saw the springs come out of the car, but it's just, it's amazing, how everything just flexes and then kind of returns, back into, where it's supposed to be. But man, I tell you, I mean, he's a lucky guy. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean that really was bad, and like you said earlier, it's unfortunate. It takes things like that for them to see the problem and fix the problem, because it's not something that was really under the radar. But I still think like what you say, maybe some limiting straps. But I think one of the biggest things, and hopefully they're looking into it, because in my mind, this is what I picture, is some kind of a seat mounting base that can absorb that, almost like, not really like an airbag system, but like an airbag system that if the car comes down that hard, it can fill up, or take some of that inertia away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think too, like the cars, people don't think of the construction of the chassis a whole lot, and I mean NASCAR's made some huge steps, like especially after Kyle Busch's crash in the Xfinity car at Daytona. They put a lot of emphasis into driver cockpit safety with intrusion panels, so stuff can't come in the car. A stronger and more absorbent toe board where the pedals are. Um, but I think that there's crush zones on the car that are built to absorb impact, to kind of take it away from the cockpit. And I think if they could make some sort of crush panel for the seat to sit on, instead of being mounted directly to the floor,
Right. Yep.
like when it came down, it would crush that to, that would take the brunt of the impact and collapse, and it wouldn't have to be huge, just a couple inches maybe.
But you know what? It's just amazing to see all three of them. Even though Eric Almirola had to be taken out on the stretcher, but still to be conscious, to get out in one piece, and be able to talk about it a few days later. I mean, that just shows you the amount of safety that's built into these cars. But I don't know. I'm sure he's got a hard decision ahead of him, and a lot to really think about with coming in, because even if his back does heal, they said if he has any more damage to it, that could paralyze him for life. Going into the car, you're probably gonna crash again. You can't be out there just driving around, because they were interviewing somebody else. I think it was Joey Logano or something, and he was saying, if you're gonna go out there and just drive around and try to avoid the crashes, you're not really gonna race. So, I respect whatever decision he comes up with, and hopefully the haters will too, because there's a lot of haters out there. He's a young guy. He's got a family. He may end up saying, you know what, it's not worth the risk. I'd rather, he said he wants to be able to go out and play ball with his kids, go have his father and daughter dance when his daughter gets older. And, you can't blame somebody for, thinking that way.
Yeah, and you know, what kind of a guy he really is, I think it was that following Wednesday, he attended it was called a catwalk for the cause, for a cause. It was an event for children that have either beaten cancer or currently have cancer, and he made a promise to one of the kids that he would be there, and he showed up, and he basically said that he would he rather endure a couple hours of pain to make it there and be with the kids than because he knows well enough that all those kids have gone through a lot worse than what he's gone through, in a different sense, but just pretty amazing, pretty stand-up guy to be able to bounce back like that and do something like that. Pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so another funny twist to this whole story is Carl Edwards. They tried to get Carl Edwards to take over, at least for a short amount of time in Eric Almirola's car, and he declined, which I kind of thought he would, but it'd be cool to see Carl Edwards in a car again. I like that guy. He was a really cool racer and good racer too. And I don't know. I really want to see him back. Hopefully he comes back someday.
Yeah, I don't think he's done with NASCAR just yet. I honestly think that there was just personal stuff that he just didn't have the time to devote to it because of NASCAR and needed to take some time away. I do hope that he does come back. I don't think I think he turned that down because he almost feels committed to Toyota. That he said he wouldn't come back unless it was something for Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that whole thing is still weird. Why he even left to begin with, and I know he probably had personal issues, and I get that, but it was just so sudden. It was just very weird. But hopefully he does come back, and it all works out for him someday. But guys, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we're gonna come back, and we got a few more things to talk about.
What are we doing here?
Having beers like we do every week.
No. Bigger picture, life, man. What do we have to look forward to? But writing formation, the Labor Day parade, is that it?
I'm really looking forward to the parade. I got Tootsie Rolls I can throw to the kids.
Oh.
Tootsie Rolls that he can throw to the kids. Man, you can't even put on your turn singing without busting your ass.
Candles by Amy, JIC.com. A piece of high-quality jewelry in each candle. Quality soy candles, amazing scents. Customize and make your own. Unstressed in a world of amazing scents. Bath bombs, skincare, tarts, candles, weight loss coffees, and more. The perfect way to say, I care. Candles by Amy. Great for gifts or just because. Imagine the look on your loved ones or friends when they receive this amazing gift. Even more when a fine piece of jewelry is revealed during their spa bath, candle burn, tart warming. Be a giver of relief and non-stress. The perfect way to say, I care. Candles by Amy.
All right, we're back here live at SoMo Garage, and we were just finishing up talking about Eric Almirola and everything that went on with him. But guys, let's switch gears and let's talk about the All-Star race, NASCAR's All-Star race. Did both of you guys get to watch it?
I got to watch it. I didn't watch it live. I watched a replay of it. I don't know. I have mixed emotions about the whole race. I know that Goodyear tried to bring in a tire option to try to mix things up a bit. I think they went a bit too conservative with the tire compound, that they could have went softer. It just didn't create the difference in speed that they were really looking for. I mean, there was some good racing. I mean, I know that one segment, they were 3 wide, 3 deep. It was pretty crazy. And Kyle Busch made a pretty wild move to get the lead in the last segment and eventually won the race. I mean, all in all, it wasn't terrible. It was, I think, better than last year. But yeah, I think that they got some room for improvement still.
I think you're just happy because Kyle won, and we know you're a Kyle fan, man. I think if he didn't win, we'd hear a different story from you, bro.
Well, if Jimmy Johnson would have won, the first person to hear it would have been Adam Baker. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't. I thought it was a good race, but I didn't think it was a very exciting race. I just it lacked something, and I don't know what it was. And I don't want to say it was a Rex and all that because it wasn't. I mean, I don't watch the racing to see Rex, but I just yes, there was some exciting, a little bit of exciting racing, but I just didn't feel like the guys were really racing as hard as that you've seen in the past. Some of those things. I mean, just have been crazy, and I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think it was all that great, but and yes, I'm not a Kyle Busch fan, man. And it was really cool to see Kyle Busch pull that pass off at the. He's really really good at restarts. I mean, can't take that away from the guy. That was cool. That was probably about the highlight of the race for me.
You know what it seemed like from when my point of view was some guys were on it on the setup, and some guys just never could get the setup, and you saw it on the track because the way it split up. The guys that were on it were gone, and the guys that were struggling, that especially that first segment. They try to come back out and make some changes and adjustments for the second, and come out and run it. But it just seemed like there was a big distance between the people who were on the setup and the people who weren't on the setup, and I don't know if it had to do with the tires, the track, or just not being able to get on top of it.
Well, I watched the post race interviews, and I think Jimmy Johnson said it best: is the rule book for NASCAR is ridiculously thick. These guys have no wiggle room to try anything. So, like, all the top teams that basically have all the same stuff. And, I mean, there's only minor things, really, that are different between the cars. He said, how do you expect to pass anybody if you're all running the same speed? He said his complaint is the rule book for the cars it's just too thick. Like everybody's running the same stuff, and it makes it boring.
It's time for them to start reinventing and finding other ways. I mean, that's going to be tough, but I don't know, man. Like you said, it wasn't a bad race. It could have been a lot more racy. There was parts of it where there was some racing going on, but I think the drop off between drivers, there was a few that were on it, and they kind of raced it out. But even then, I mean, you see the splits between some of the drivers. If they didn't have the late restart, would that have changed things up also? But I enjoyed watching it because I think I enjoyed it more watching it just because we did it Thursday, and to see the comparison between SoMo and NASCAR doing this similar format just kind of brought it home more for me.
And I think that, like, NASCAR's obviously made some changes to try to make the racing more exciting with the smaller spoiler, smaller front splitter, and stuff like that. But I think if they just eliminated the splitter altogether and put like a minimum ride height rule on the front to open up, let some air underneath the cars, and basically make them drive horrible, it would make it more exciting because everyone would be just sliding around and fighting for grip.
Yeah, and you gotta kind of feel for Kyle Larson because he had the dominant car. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He had the dominant line. He had the dominant car. He just didn't have the dominant crew, and you could tell in his interview he was heavily disappointed, and he had rightfully so. And though he acted like a veteran, well, I don't know. I shouldn't say veteran because some veterans will throw their crew right into the dirt. But Kevin Harvick, but he acted like, just a good gentleman, and he just said, hey, you know what, my crew's been on it all year, I can't say it's them, and he kind of said it was them without saying that, basically. But um he definitely, if he had if he had gotten out of the pits when he should have, and didn't lose all that track position, he definitely, I think, would have dominated that whole race. And that kid, man, I tell you what, watch out for him next week. Um, I will say he does fall off on a long run because he runs just wide open, but um, he's definitely going to be up front in the 600 next week, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think that he's really good, and he's come a long way in the last couple years. And even their equipment, like their cars, are better than what they used to be. He actually found out that in the All Star race, uh, it wasn't a bad pit stop. It was the jack post broke off on the right side, and the jack man had to pump the jack 2 more times to get the car up off the ground for the rear to be changed. So that's what cost him 3 spots, basically.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just bad luck, man. I know. What was it? Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the driver. Martin Truex. He had something similar happen like that. Was it? I think it was last year, where he dominated a race, and then something happened with either lug nuts or a wheel or something. But you remember, don't you, Joe?
Yeah. I remember everything. That's stupid little facts on that guy. It was one of the set screws that hold the wheel spacer onto the rotor.
That's
The,
right.
the screw head fell off, broke, and landed directly on the hub. And when they put the wheel on, it wouldn't tighten because it was like cocked at an angle. And they had to come in and they found out what it was. It's just a freak thing and just bad luck. The same thing with Kyle Larson. Just little parts, $5 parts, I guess, that break and cost you a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's hard to really think about what could put you out of a race or what could take you out of contention. You know, a lot of guys probably don't even think about those $5 parts until they're breaking off. What was it? I think a couple of years ago there was Hendrick had a problem keeping shifters on their cars. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
They were breaking off. I mean, it was just amazing to see just stuff like that break. These $200,000 cars and the shifters are breaking off of them.
Well, now with the 600 coming up, there's going to be a lot of abuse on the cars. With the cars the way they are now, you even seen it at Kansas. Guys are braking a lot harder than they normally would. And I think you could see some of that too during the All-Star. So I wonder what kind of mechanical failures we're going to see, what kind of stupid mechanical failures, during that 600, 400 laps out there on those cars, constant, running hard and braking and glowing at rotors. Are we going to see another incident like with Logano with the rotor blowing up, or are they going to be on top of it before we get to that race?
Yeah, I'm interested to see. You really don't see too many blown motors anymore, and I think that has a lot to do with the NASCAR's gear rule changes and all that. But the 600 does put that extra 100 miles on the car. It's extra strain on everything, driver, car, everything. So it's going to be interesting to see, definitely, how that plays out, and it's going to be an endurance not only for the driver but for the machines as well. So, now going into that race, you both are going to be in that race. Tell me what's your mindset going into it? Just kind of try to stay out of trouble and be there at the end, or I mean, what do you do? Try to stay up front? I mean, what's the strategy?
My strategy is don't scrape the wall, because that seems to be my constant thing anymore. If I can keep it out of the wall, I'm pretty good. I was able to keep it out of the wall during the All Star race, and I brought it home in third. Um, so I think that's my big thing. It doesn't matter where I'm running. I just need to keep myself in check. I get pretty antsy.
And see, for me, my mindset going into the race is, not to try to put myself in a position where I'm going to take an unnecessary chance, but at the same token, I want to stay close enough to the pack because I don't want to be a lap down, right away from not running too hard. So there's that fine line between racing and holding back. But I think pit strategy is what I'm going to try to work on more now, especially in the beginning, because 400 laps. I mean, you know how many pits you're going to do before you get down to the final 20 laps. I think pit strategy is definitely going to play. There's a lot of things I'm going to test before we actually get out there, so I know what I can pit, 2 tires, 4 tires, and know the difference between it. But try and basically just keep my car in one piece or as close to one piece as possible, to be there and get in a position up front where a top 10 or better is a strong possibility.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just my mentality going into this race is going to be to finish. It seems like if I'm not getting caught up in something, I'm getting run over from behind. So it's been a rough season, and I really want to finish that race because that's a really cool race to be in, and the fact that you could say you completed 600 miles is pretty awesome. Especially at Charlotte. That's a really cool racetrack, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think it's definitely going to come down to being smart and making smart decisions.
And you know who the sponsor is for it, right?
I don't. I probably should though.
Yeah, you should. It's Portside Jaguar Land Rover.
Well, yeah, I guess I should know that.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be, it's definitely going to be a survival thing. And to go back to the 500 real quick, even though the 500, isn't a car that we run, like the Cup car, we run 36 races a year. So, you could say anybody that's running in a Cup Series has an idea of what the characteristic of that car is. Go back to the DW12, I've run them before, but I haven't run any full seasons, and other guys. But I started dead last, 27th, and I finished 5th, and I was able to finish. Yeah, I was a lap down at the end, but I was able to finish and take it home 5th. And I used that same type of mentality through that race. I unfortunately I got into John on the first lap, or whatever happened between us. But had that not happened, I only had one incident where I hurt myself and had to go in and get the car repaired. So it can be done. It's just the worst part about it, I think, is like with you, you're riding along, racing, minding your own business, and get caught up in somebody else's mistake or wreck or accident, and that ends your night. That's the worst part. So it's going to be really tough, man. But I think guys really have to come into that race and understand that it's 400 laps, and at lap 60 you cannot be so concerned about somebody passing you. I know guys' prides get up and they don't want to let somebody pass, but at lap 60 you still have 340 laps to go. Why fight it then?
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's always the mentality of some of the the people out there on the racetrack is don't give up that spot, but in a race like that, you're right. I mean, there's no point in racing somebody so hard at lap 70 when you have 400 laps to complete. I mean, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to either pass them again on the racetrack or pass them on pit road. So play a smart race, as smart as you can. And my personal opinions lately on myself has been I need to listen to myself a lot more, because just for instance, this all-star race we had, I told myself I wanted to pit right before we went back green for that last lap. I was going to go ahead and pit, get my tires, come back out, and then I was going to be set because I'd have one lap of my tires and everybody else was going to pit, and I'd be probably somewhat near the front. Well, I stayed out and I got ran over, and that's the thing. So sometimes you got to listen to yourself too and not second guess yourself and, put yourself in a bad position, especially in a race like that, because, you put yourself in a bad position to become vulnerable, chances are you're not going to make it to the end. So.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy too, because me and Aaron were talking about it in race, and we both stayed out, and I feel pretty bad about it now, because I was like, I'm staying out, and he's like, well, all right, I'll stay out too, and he got involved in a wreck. Had that not happened, I probably would have been the one to get run over, because I was the next car in line. Um, it was pretty unfortunate, a lot of cars got taken out right there.
Yeah, it thinned out pretty quick. That race did, and I'm thinking the 600 is probably going to happen the same way. I mean, I don't know how many guys are going to start the 600, but I'm sure probably a good amount. Probably at least I would say probably 30 cars plus maybe, close to that. So I'm curious to see how quickly that fades. How quickly some of those cars fade out because, there's not going to be that many cars finishing the race for sure. So it's going to be interesting, guys. I'm looking forward to it.
And one thing to say with the whole season, from the Daytona 500 on, there's been a lot of full-length races done here, and they've been pretty good. They've been, pretty interesting. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of green flag runs, a lot of lead changes, a lot of give and take between most of the guys, I would say. So as the season progresses, you can see how things are getting a little bit more fine-tuned, I guess you could say, and it's definitely making it more fun to be a part of and be, in. And, well, not trying to rush this year over, but when we do go back to next season, a lot of the return drivers that come back are going to bring that back with them, and next season should even be even more tighter than this season,
Yeah, I think that I'd say probably in the last 3 weeks or so that we've taken some real strides in the right direction. The racing has been so much more fun, and it's been a blast to be a part of it all. And hopefully, we can continue on that path and just have some really great racing.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's been a lot of positives here in the last few weeks, and I've noticed a big change in just people's attitudes that we race around. I think people are generally happier and are racing better. I mean, there's still always going to be incidents. I mean, it is racing, but all in all, I think it's coming along.
Yeah, and I also want to say, kind of, on an off subject with it, but Thursday nights we are not really live right now. A little bit here and there when I can do a Thursday night, I'll go ahead and broadcast it. But I don't want to give up, my only night that I have the race, Thursday night, to go ahead and broadcast. So we are gonna be live again. I believe it's June 5th when we go to Pocono. And that'll be by Parks Brothers Broadcasting. So we're looking forward to getting those races back up and back on at 8:45 on Thursday nights. And as we get closer, we'll start putting it out there so people that want to come and watch can, and also for the drivers to share it with their families and friends so that they could go. But it's good to see that we're able to get that back going again, because Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights are done through SR Broadcasting, and Thursday nights in the Cup Series, was real nice to have it live. I was debating whether or not to step down from it, and I almost did to go ahead and broadcast, but I'm glad that it turned around and I don't have to, and I can continue running this season. But that's something else to look forward to, as we continue moving forward through the season.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely nice to have the races broadcast and just to be able to go back and look through it all and, like you said, show family and friends, and it helps to get some exposure too for the sponsors and everything. And I'm sure that they appreciate it, and we appreciate everything they do, making it possible for all that to happen.
Yeah, there's, I mean, that's another backbone to the league that nobody really thinks about. All the money and people that support the league and make it happen. I mean, it takes that. It takes the drivers. It takes countless hours, of dedication from Paul and admins to make decisions and move in a certain direction to keep the league where it needs to be. So it's cool to see all that happen. But a lot of people don't. I mean, a lot of people either spectate and have no idea what's going on other than the fact that they're watching a race. And some people just show up and race and are oblivious to that. So it's really cool to see all this come together and work the way it's working. I'm definitely proud to be part of it.
And just think, this all started back in 2013, and here we are, 2017, and it's progressed and it's gone forward, and the exposure and the amount of people that do get involved with it financially, and like the admins that we have now. I mean, you guys do a great job. It's nice to know Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights when I'm not there that you guys are on top of it. It keeps things moving forward. It keeps the guys knowing that it's not just thrown out there like whatever and have at it. It's still an organized race. And when we started the league, the whole reason to start the league was to find a place to race where you can race hard but have respect. And not that there aren't leagues out there that race that way, but there's a lot of leagues that we were involved with that there's a lot of yelling and a lot of fighting and a lot of stuff going on during the race and on track and chat. And, it's just something a lot of people were looking to not find. And a lot of guys that did come here and start racing at SoMo say the same thing. They enjoy being here because you can race and you don't have to worry about listening to somebody, curse and yell all night long during the race. And it keeps them coming back. It keeps them dedicated to it. And, the racing just is getting phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. I'm 100%. Looking forward to the rest of the season and making it even better. But guys, it's about 9:53. Paul, you want to talk about the hub a little bit?
Yes, sir. Guys, the hub, sim racing giveaways on Facebook. I'm sure some of you have been on there, seen it, even won some stuff from there. Great place to get any sim racing stuff, iRacing cards, all different levels of money cards. Really good upfront. I know they've had some transition here with people crying. There's always somebody who's got something to say, and these guys have been honest up front from day one. They're not here making money on anybody. They're giving people a chance to get sim racing equipment, whether it be steering wheels, buttons, dashes, pedals, sim seats, sim rigs. I mean, anything that you need for racing. iRacing monies to help pay for tracks and cars and subscriptions and stuff for peanuts. And a lot of the guys have been posting pictures lately of some of the stuff that they've won. And matter of fact, I just saw a picture come across today. Somebody posted the Fanatec pedals that they won. And I think the guy spent less than $40 and won those pedals. So, go on Facebook, go to the hub, Sim Racing Giveaways, and join. Take a look at some of the stuff that they're doing. Every day they're posting something else. They'll tell you how many slots are on there, how much there is to buy a slot, and basically at the end you just once the slots are filled, they'll go live and they'll do a drawing with the slots. The number that's picked is the winner. Tyler has a couple different things that they were doing where they were going to have a first, second, and third place type of winner, but you guys know me. I don't just easily endorse anybody or just give money away or go put money on something to go and and try. I investigate, man. I dig deep. I want to make sure that everything's on the up and up. I want to know who's running it, why they're running it, and everything. And I've dug through. I've questioned Tyler, when he first started this, and I've even got involved with a couple of things, won a couple of spots on there, and these guys are upfront and honest. So there's nothing to be worried about. It's all through PayPal. It's all covered. Go on there, especially if you're looking for any type of sim racing equipment, brand new. See what they got. Get involved. Buy a couple slots. Try your luck. Worst thing that can happen, is you don't win that time. You come back and try again for something else. But definitely good.
So you're basically saying say an item has 30 slots, you can buy, how many slots can you buy?
You can buy as many as you want. If you're like, if they're doing say a $1,300 wheel, and if you're going to buy 30 slots for $800, if you think it's worth spending $800 and buying all those slots, you could. There's no limit on it. But I know, like I did, they were doing a Fanatec pedal set one time, and I really wanted to get them, so I think I bought 2 slots, and then they had another drawing where if you won 5 slots, and I happened to win that, so I think I had 7 slots going into it, and I believe it was about 30 slots, maybe 40 slots total. So once it was full, I had 7 numbers in there, and it's just luck. It's just if the number gets picked, and they show you the drawing. I mean, it's done by random. I think randomizer.com or random.com. So it's all legit. There's no favoritism or anything like that, and it's just a matter of luck. But the good thing about it is I could have had those pedals for, I think, under $50. You know what I mean? And there's no way you can get a brand new set of Fanatec's for $50 anywhere.
Yeah, I won a Logitech headset. Looking online, they range are about $70-$80 new. I spent, I think it was $20 to get some slots, and I won some through one of the mini auctions where there's like 10 slots available. You throw in $5 and you have the potential to win 5 slots. I did that and I won the headset. I haven't received it yet. There was an issue with the company he ordered it from, but I talked to Tyler Summerlin about it, and he handled it very professionally. I'm pretty happy it's all sorted out. The new one, it ordered it from a different company, and it's on the way now. So
awesome!
Can't wait to have it. And thanks to Tyler for helping me out resolving the situation. And I support him 100%. It's an awesome thing they got going on over there. So if you get a chance, go check it out.
Yeah, and it's got to be, I mean, he's got to do it because he likes to do it, because it's not like they're it's not a get rich quick scheme or anything like that they're trying to create over there. I mean, they're just they might make a little money, but they're not killing it by any means. So yeah, definitely check them out. Sounds like a lot of good items that go up for sale, and definitely worth throwing $20-$30 at something and have the potential to win a $500 or more item. So,
and brand new.
Yeah, brand new too. So definitely can't go wrong there.
Well, let me quickly run down this week's breakdown for races and broadcasts, because we're running a little bit short on time here. Monday night will be SR Broadcasting will be live with GAC at Atlanta in their the GAC Unleashed Truck Series, and that will be at 8:45. So if you want to check out some trucks at Atlanta, go ahead and come on in on Monday. Tuesday night, the Lazy Days Racing Truck Series at SoMo will be at Dover for 125 laps, and that will be Tuesday night at 8:45. And then Wednesday night, Lazy Days Racing Xfinity Series will be at Charlotte, night race for 135 laps, and that also will be at 8:45. So that's what we got going on this week, and obviously next Sunday we'll be back here live at the SoMo Garage from 9 to 10. And if you like it, we'd appreciate it if you would hit like and subscribe, follow, and come check out some of the races during the week. Like I said, June 5th, Parks Brothers Broadcasting will pick up the Thursday night series, Lazy Days Racing Cup Series at SoMo, and that will be live at Pocono. So, write it down, stick it on your phone, put it somewhere, come out, check it out. You'll definitely won't be disappointed. Some great racing, a lot of fun. You know, a couple different leagues, and you know, see what's going on here.
All right, guys. That's all. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to do the show with you, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, guys. You all have a good night.